Motorvision's Super Test. Dream cars hurtling to the limit on the racetrack. Testing these machines for us, a man whose name is legend in motorsport circles. Matthias Lauda's Super Test. 5 sports cars, 5 concepts. Prices from 46 to 240,000 euros. At the wheel to test them for us at the Sachsenring in eastern Germany, Matthias Lauda. Here there are long straights, lots of corners, sharp rises and sudden dips. Perfect for extreme testing of our high-speed quintet. Matthias is 27 years old, currently enjoying success in the German touring car series, the DTM, previously active in GP2 racing, the training class for Formula One. He'll push each of our 5 sports cars to the limit. The newest models of these automobiles would be out of reach for most of us mere mortals, but a second-hand car could allow dreams to come true. 5 cars of very different character with power outputs from 192 to 500 horsepower. In Matthias Lauda's Super Test series, the pedigree lightweight Porsche, the 911 GT3. The edgy Lamborghini Gallardo with mid-motor powering all 4 wheels. The power-to-weight champion, the Lotus Exige. The Italian long-distance runner, the Ferrari 575M Maranello. And today, James Bond's very own Aston Martin Vanquish. The Vanquish was Pierce Brosnan's choice of wheels in the movie Die Another Day. And if it was good enough for 007, then it's probably fine for Matthias Lauda too. He's happy to don the mantle of Her Majesty's most famous secret agent and check out the performance of this essentially British sports car on the Sachsenring. The sound, worth saving on your MP3 player. The Vanquish has 12 cylinders and displaces almost 6 liters. 460 horsepower push the 2-tonner to 100 in only 5 seconds. Although as far as the handling is concerned, it's a real heavyweight, it's still fun to take it to the limit. As we hear and see. Impressive. The Shark Moor of the Vanquish, it was at the time the top of the Aston Martin range. Today that honor goes to the DBS, which Daniel Craig drove in Casino Royale. But back to the 2002 Bondmobile. I find the design just wonderful. I think it's one of the most beautiful cars on the market. It's very wide, very robust, and has a hefty back end. And, yes, it's the design I like. Its price when new was 236,000 euros, for which you got a top speed of 306 kilometers an hour, but no ESP. And the interior is a mixed bag. There are some cheap components which let down the image of British nobility. The cockpit is basically okay, though. For me, the steering wheel is a bit too bulky. Getting into reverse gear is tricky. There's this knob here you have to work a bit before the gear engages. But what's totally positive is the sound when you hit the starter. What I find less than optimal is the finish of the leatherwork. It could be a lot better. And what I fail to understand, why have they used knobs and switches from a humble Ford in here, also on the dashboard? The V12 motor, its size and heft is immediately obvious, and that makes the car a bit sluggish. There needs to be more torque, particularly at the low end, where it's anything but lively. Nevertheless, there's 540 Newton-meters available, but a bit late when 5,000 RPM is reached. Gear changing can be done without taking the hands from the wheel. Changing gears is pretty good. It's like in a Formula One racer with a paddle. What I really like, when you downshift, there's always a double clutch. That makes gear changes very clean and smooth. Upshifting, you feel a bit of a jerk. That could be better in my opinion. And the gear ratios are a bit too long. Again though, the Vanquish can reach 7,000 RPM, and that with a V12 naturally aspirated motor. It's an inferno that one should really experience once in a lifetime. The car reaches its limit quite late, but when it does, in the absence of ESP, it calls for quick reflexes. As far as the steering is concerned, I find it a bit too soft. You don't get the right feel when cornering because it swims about a bit. It's the kind of steering that would be okay for the highway cruising. The steering could indeed give more feedback. The Aston Martin Vanquish says one thing very clearly: I'm a very, very heavy set of wheels. Normally, for this kind of sports car, the steering needs to be more direct so that you can get a feel of the ride. Lap follows lap and the conclusion becomes clear. Pierce Brosnan may have been able to impress Halle Berry, but for serious chases, something more truly sporty is called for. Driving behavior? I always thought it's a real sports car, but it's too sluggish and soft for racing. The Vanquish is in fact a classic Gran Turismo, offering comfort and power for those long drives, preferably when it's dry though, for the Vanquish is far from happy on wet roads. The weight of the Vanquish is apparent when driving on the wet. When you brake or take a corner, you realize what a tanker this is. Summing up, the Vanquish is a beauty, yes, but not suited for the race circuit. Too heavy, too sluggish. The motor is far from ideal at low revs, and the gears are too long. Very beautiful, but not for the track. We must bear in mind that Matthias Lauda tends to speak his mind, and he's a man used to race cars. We see the Vanquish as a masterpiece of understatement, apart perhaps from the faux pas with the Ford Mondeo knobs. Models with less than 30,000 kilometers on the clock can be had for 100,000 euros. Now that the resale value has hit this level, it could be the moment to grab one. Get that James Bond feeling. Get a superbly attractive Gran Turismo. And man, get that sound. In our next super test, Matthias Lauda rides the cannonball that is the Lotus Exige. Just 875 kilos, but with 192 horses. That's coming soon in Motor Vision, the motor magazine.